classification. I had given you some points, isn't it? So plant kingdom, I discussed briefly about plant kingdom in biological classification. So what are the points that I told you there? See, plants, they are going to be chlorophyllous, they are autotrophic, they can synthesize their own food, and they have chlorophyll pigments because of which they are green in color. So they are autotrophic, they synthesize their own food by photosynthesis. So during photosynthesis they liberate oxygen. Then plants are also having cell wall made up of cellulose. They are made up of cellulose. So all those organisms whose cell wall is made up of cellulose is placed under plant kingdom. Their reserve food material is starch. So plants store reserve food material in the form of starch. So a few of this I had told you. Then I had also told you that fungi was removed from plant kingdom because they are heterotrophic in their nature. They are achlorophyllous organism. Even though they have cell wall is made up of chitin. So these were all the things that I had discussed in the biological classification topic regarding plant kingdom. So under plant kingdom, you are having various groups that you have to study. Algae, algae you are going to study three groups, that is green algae or chlorophyceae, then phaeophyceae or brown algae, rhodophyceae or red algae. You are going to study these three types of algae in this particular plant kingdom. Also, you are going to study about the bryophytes, which are the amphibians of the plant kingdom. You are also going to study about pteridophytes, which are the first terrestrial vascular plants or cryptogams, we also call it as. Then gymnosperms, the naked seeded plants, that group also we study under plant kingdom. Finally, the most evolved plants, that is the angiosperms, that is the seeds are enclosed by fruit. So that, or flowering plants, we also call it as angiosperms. That is the last group that we are going to study in this plant kingdom. So without plants, you should remember that the ecosystem cannot exist. Plants, they do a unique thing. They can synthesize food on their own. So they have chloroplasts. So the chloroplasts, they are going to uh, capture, conserve, and convert the solar electromagnetic radiation into chemical energy, that is food. So that is the thing that they can do. So they are going to absorb the sunlight, the energy from sunlight, and utilize it for fusing simple compounds like carbon dioxide and water to form glucose, and liberates oxygen during the process. Okay, the synthesis of food takes place by plants. So plants are very much essential. If plants aren't there, none of the organisms can exist. So in the ecosystem, plants, we call them as producers because they are the organisms which synthesize food, and herbivores feed on these plants, and the energy is transferred from plants to the herbivores. In turn, the herbivores are being fed by the carnivores. So indirectly, the carnivore gets the source of energy from plants. So you should understand about the importance of plants, how much they are required for capturing, converting, and conserving the solar electromagnetic radiation into chemical energy. So that we cannot do it in the lab. You try to fuse carbon dioxide and water in lab, you're going to get soda or carbonated water. You're not able to get glucose. So these plants are specifically, the chloroplast has that ability to utilize the solar energy to combine carbon dioxide and water to form glucose. There are various reactions involved like light reaction, dark reaction. We'll be studying that in the plant physiology. As of now, you just remember how important plants are for us, and we cannot ignore them. Okay, so plants are the reason that other organisms are surviving on Earth. Okay, so the systems of biological classification, three systems of biological classification are there: the artificial system, natural system, phylogenetic system. So the biological classification, it is of three types: artificial system, natural system of classification, phylogenetic system of classification. So the artificial system of classification, uh, Carl Linnaeus system of classification based on only the andrecium. So the stamens, It is called as artificial system of classification. So in the artificial system of classification, it is the oldest type of classification. So it is based on vegetative characters or superficial morphological characters. So the artificial system is of classification, it is based on vegetative characters or the superficial morphological characters such as habit of the plant, where it exists, color of the plant's number and shape of leaves. So these attributes are taken. Okay, so these vegetative attributes are taken and they are utilized for classification of organisms. See, Linnaeus, Carl Linnaeus, the father of taxonomy. So he had his artificial system. Linnaeus' artificial system of classification of plants was based on the andrecium structure. See, the stamen, if they are fused, monoadelphous, he had one variety of plants. Diadelphous, he had categorized them as another variety. Polyadelphous, he had categorized as another variety. Syngenesious, Synandrous. Okay, based on the type of stamens, he classified the plants. So he used only one character based on the type of stamens. So Linnaeus system of classification is also called as artificial classification system, where importance is provided to vegetative characters or the superficial morphological characters, the external characters, such as where it occurs, the color, number, and shape of leaves. These are given priority. Not reproductive characters are not considered. So andrecium structure based on its number of andrecium, how the stamens are fused. Okay. So that is what Linnaeus system of classification focused on, a single attribute of stamen, nature of stamen, type of stamens. So even Linnaeus system of classification is called as artificial classification system. So the drawbacks of this artificial classification system is they separated the closely related species since they were based on few characteristics. So they separated the closely related species, the artificial classification system, as they were based on one or two characters, vegetative characters of the plants. So that is one of the disadvantage or drawback of this artificial classification system. And they gave equal weightage to vegetative and sexual characteristics, so which is not acceptable. So they gave equal weightage to the vegetative attributes as well as the reproductive characters of plants. So this is not acceptable since the vegetative characteristics are easily affected by environment and they show a lot of modification. If less amount of water is there, the plant is short, they have smaller leaves. So you cannot have a, uh, what do you call it as, vegetative characters cannot be taken as a criterion because they are easily affected by the environment. So these are some of the drawbacks of artificial classification system. So the natural classification system was where it is based on natural affinities among organisms. So Bentham and Hooker system of classification is an example for natural classification system. It considers external features and internal features. Like it takes a lot of attributes into consideration, like ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology, and phytochemistry. So classification for flowering plants given by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. At least we can remember it as Bentham and Hooker system of classification. So they are based on natural affinities among organism. It considers not one or two characters, lot of characters, external features and internal features are considered. So not only the morphological characters, the type of flower, it also considers the internal features like ultrastructure, anatomy of the plant, embryology of the plant, and also phytochemistry is considered in the natural classification system. See, the natural classification system was put forth by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. So Bentham and Hooker system of classification. See, even in the Britishers, when they were there, Bentham and Hooker, they classified plants during their era at the beginning of the 19th century. They have written the Flora of Madras Presidency. Earlier, before 1950, 1950s, there was no concept of state or other things. When the British were ruling, they had divided India into presidencies like Madras Presidency, which included almost all the South Indian states of present. Then the Mumbai Presidency, the Calcutta Presidency, Bombay Presidency, Calcutta Presidency. That is how they had divided. And Bentham and Hooker have written the flora of Madras Presidency. Even today, at post graduation level, when you take up botany, you'll be using these books, Flora of Madras Presidency, for identifying plants which are found within the South Indian states. So even today, that book is being referred as a standard source of reference. So they have contributed in the flora of making the flora of Madras Presidency. So you can just understand their contributions. See, the natural classification system is much more evolved and better than the artificial system of classification because it considers a lot of characters like external features and internal features. Internal features includes the ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology, and phytochemistry of the plant. So their classification put forth by Bentham and Hooker or George Bentham and J.D. Hooker. So they are the best example for natural classification system. So, but natural classification system had certain setbacks. They did not consider evolutionary attributes in the natural classification system. So that was set right in the phylogenetic classification system. In phylogenetic classification system, these are based on evolutionary relationship among the organism. So this classification is the most accepted classification at present. The phylogenetic classification system gives high priority for evolutionary relationship among the organism. So this assumes that organism in the same taxa have a common ancestor. So according to them, here there's an example. The baboon, orangutan, the gorilla, man, chimpanzees. So they are all supposed to have a common ancestor somewhere down the line during the evolution, and they have branched to form orangutan, the uh, gorilla, man, chimpanzee. Okay, so that is how they all evolved during the process of evolution. This is what, so this assumes, the phylogenetic system assumes that organisms in the same taxa have a common ancestor long back ago. Okay, during evolution process, they had a common ancestor. Okay, that is about the phylogenetic system of classification. Example, if you ask me phylogenetic system of classification, Engler and Prandtl system of classification is based on phylogenetic system. So you can take that example of Engler and Prandtl system of classification. So there is Cronquist system of classification, Hutchinson system of classification. They're all examples for the phylogenetic system of classification. Now there are system of biological classification. So based on number, cytology, chemistry of the plants, there are other types of classification. See, other sources to resolve the problems in classification is numerical taxonomy. See, it is based on all observable characteristics. It is carried out using the computers. Numbers and codes are assigned to all the characters and the data are processed. So thus hundreds of characters can be equally considered. So you have this punching card type. Earlier days they had this punching card type. So the taxa A, B, C, D, E characters were all given numbers 1, 2, 3. If they are present, the character is present, it is plus. If that character is not present, they had minus. Okay, so in punching cards, if that character is present, they had all this, they were punched. If they were not there, they were not punched. So here it is plus and minus. So you can, using this, uh, the computers, they were able to classify this numerical taxonomy. See, numerical taxonomy, it is based on all the observable characteristics. It is carried out using computers. So the numbers and codes are assigned to all the characters and the data are processed. So thus hundreds of characters can be equally considered. So it is based on all the observable characteristics. So it is carried out using computers. Okay. So number and codes are assigned. See, you can see the taxa A, it has one. That means maybe the plant is herb. So if one might be the herb. Second, it might be flowers might be bisexual. So I'm just giving you example of what the characters might be. All the observable characters, they are given numbers. So, and they are, if the character is seen, it is given as plus or it is minus. Okay. So thus hundreds of characters are considered for classification. So this type of classification, so we call it as numerical taxonomy. It is based on all observable characteristics which are given numbers and codes. Cytotaxonomy, it is based on cytological information like chromosome number, the structure of chromosome, behavior of chromosomes. On this basis, if you are having classification of organisms, we call it as cytotaxonomy. So cytotaxonomy gives priority for cytological information like chromosome number, structure of chromosome, behavior of the chromosomes, etc. Now in chemotaxonomy, it uses the chemical constituents of the plant. Like if they are having alkaloids, if they are having tannins, flavonoids. Okay, so based on the chemical constituents of the plant, if you are classifying them, we call it as chemotaxonomy. So the other sources of classification, biological classification to resolve taxonomic problems is numerical taxonomy, chemotaxonomy, cytotaxonomy. So for 1 mark questions, they might be asked for, so you should remember them. Now we'll proceed for the discussion of the uh, plant kingdom, the first group, that is algae. See, the background slide is that of Volvox. Volvox is a green algae, so it exists in colony. And these smaller circles are daughter colonies within this colony. So this is Volvox, green algae, which is showing this colonies within them. So that is the background slide. So I've already told you algae are placed under plant kingdom. See, there is one algae which is not placed under plant kingdom is, and they are placed under Monera, blue-green algae or cyanobacteria, what we call it as. The earlier name for blue-green algae was Cyanophyceae or Mixophyceae. So they are placed under kingdom Monera because they are having prokaryotic characters. So these algae which are placed in the plant kingdom, they are eukaryotic characters. So they have a true nucleus, nuclear membrane and nucleolus is there. Ribosomes are of 80S type with a larger subunit of 60S and smaller subunit of 40S. So the algae here, they have double cell membrane organelles, double membrane cell organelles like Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, chloroplast, all these are present. Okay, that is the reason the chlorophyceae, phaeophyceae, and rhodophyceae are placed under plant kingdom, and they have cell wall. So cell wall they have. That is also one more reason for being placed under this plant kingdom. So algae, if you look into its general characteristics. See, simple in structure, algae are simple in structure, thalloid. We don't even call it as thallus, they are thalloid. Autotrophic, they can synthesize their own food. They have chlorophyll and aquatic organisms. See, most of the red algae, brown algae, they are all marine forms. Like some of the green algae, you can find them both in freshwater and marine forms. So the algae are simple in their body structure. They are thalloid, they are autotrophic, they can synthesize their own food because they are chlorophyll bearing organism, and they are aquatic, that is they are found in freshwater and marine water. So the algae can also be noticed on moist stones, soil, and wood also you can notice this algae. Some of these algae occur in association with fungi, so which we call it as lichens. Some of the algae are found on animals also. So you can see on sloth bear, they have this algae found on the fur of sloth bear. So the sloth bear green fur is due to presence of the certain green algae on them. So sloth, uh, bear, they have this green fur, which is because of the presence of certain algae on their fur. So some of the algae are found in association with animals, as in case of sloth and bear. So the form and size of algae is highly variable. Some of them are unicellular, like if you look into Chlamydomonas, they are unicellular. Volvoxes exist as colonies. See, Eulothrix, they exist as filament structures. So the Eulothrix and Spirogyra, they exist as filamentous forms. So the form and size of algae is highly variable. Some of them are unicellular microscopic forms, that is Chlamydomonas. Volvox is colonial forms. Eulothrix and Spirogyra are filamentous forms. So, and in algae, what you can notice is the reproduction, vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction you can notice in case of algae. See, vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation. Each fragment develops into a thallus or plant body. So asexual reproduction is by the production of spores. So zoospores are formed. They are flagellated. These zoospores have flagella and they are motile. So these zoospores, on reaching suitable places, they germinate to give rise to new plants. Sexual reproduction is by fusion of two gametes. Sexual reproduction takes place. So these are the types of reproduction in algae. So algae exhibits vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction. Vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation. So each fragment develops into a thallus. Asexual reproduction is by the production of spores. Zoospores are most common. So they are flagellated or motile. They germinate to give rise to new plants. So sexual reproduction is through fusion of two gametes to form the zygote. So you know that fertilization is the process of fusion of male and female gametes to form zygote. So even sexual reproduction in algae is through the fusion of two gametes. In the slide, you can notice that there is a fragmentation in Spirogyra. So the Spirogyra filament accidentally, if it is broken, so each fragment develops into a new Spirogyra. Then the second slide part of it is the formation of zoospores, uh, which when released, this zoospores, when they are released, so they are going to germinate to form a, on reaching a suitable medium, they are going to germinate to form a new filament or new algae. So this is asexual method of reproduction by the formation of spores, especially zoospores, which are motile and they have flagella. So the fusion of male and female gametes in case of sexual reproduction takes place. So sexual reproduction can be of different types. Isogamous, see here we do not call it as male and female, rather we call it as positive and negative strains of gamete. In isogamy, they are similar in shape, structure, and size. So if gametes are similar in shape, size, and structure, so we call that fusion of such similar gametes, we call it as isogamy. They may be flagellated, as in case of Eulothrix, or non-flagellated, as in case of Spirogyra. So isogamy is fusion of gametes similar in size. They may be flagellated, as in this case they are flagellated. Example is Eulothrix. They might be non-flagellated, as in case of Spirogyra. So anisogamous is fusion of two gametes dissimilar in size. See here the female gamete is large and they have this flagella. Male gamete is small and they have this flagella. So some species of Euderina algae, they exhibit this anisogamy. So anisogamy, they are going to have dissimilar gametes. Female gamete is large and they are flagellate. Male gametes are smaller and flagellate. Oogamy, fusion between one large non-motile egg cell and female gamete, non-motile female gamete or egg cell, and a smaller motile male gamete. This type of reproduction, sexual reproduction, we call it as oogamous type of reproduction. Example, volvox, fucus, they exhibit oogamous. So based on the type of sexual reproduction, three types of sexual reproduction are there: isogamous, anisogamous, oogamous type. So isogamous, split the word. Iso means similar. The fusion of gametes similar in size, we call it as isogamous type of sexual reproduction. They may be flagellated. Example, Eulothrix has a flagellated similar gametes. If they are non-flagellated similar gametes, example Spirogyra you can take. Okay, see here we have not labeled it as isogamy, we have not labeled it as male and female. Instead, we have given it as positive strain, negative strain. Okay, in anisogamous, the fusion of two gametes dissimilar in size, and both of them are motile. So fusion of two gametes which are dissimilar in size, we call it as anisogamous. Example, a few species of Euderina, they exhibit anisogamy. Oogamous, it is a fusion between one large non-motile female gamete and a small motile male gamete. Okay, one large non-motile female gamete and a small motile male gamete. So we call this type of sexual reproduction as oogamous type of sexual reproduction. Example is volvox and fucus. Okay, so the benefits of algae. So through photosynthesis, they fix half of the total carbon dioxide on Earth and increase the level of dissolved oxygen. See, the carbon dioxide cycle is their carbon cycle. In that, half of the total carbon dioxide on Earth is fixed by algae, and they increase by photosynthesis. They fix the algae. One of the raw material for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide, isn't it? So they fix the algae. They fix the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. That is what they are going to do, and then so increase the level of dissolved oxygen. So they are primary producers and the basis of the food cycle of all aquatic animals. So they are the major primary producers and they occupy the base of the pyramid or the food cycle. And all the aquatic animals are dependent, and the basis of food cycle for all the aquatic animals, whether they are carnivores or herbivores. So the algae are the primary producers. Okay, so that is a few of the benefits of algae. So about 70 species of marine algae are used as food. Okay, so maybe we are not consuming them, but in the Japan, China, and other places, they consume algae. Maybe some of the people in the coastal areas might be utilizing this algae. So some of the edible algae are porphyra. So they are used as edible algae. Laminaria is also used as edible algae, and they are used as source of food. And sargassum is also used as a source of food. Now, in case of uh, culture media, we require a base, a semi-solid base. We make it using agar-agar. So that agar-agar powder is obtained from the algae Gelidium and Gracilaria. So Gelidium and Gracilaria, the red algae from which we are obtaining this agar-agar. So they are this agar-agar powder is used to prepare the culture medium. Semi-solid they are, so we add the macro and micronutrients to this agar-agar media and prepare this culture media on which we can grow bacteria or fungi or any microorganism of our choice. So that agar is extracted from algae Gelidium and Gracilaria. So they are used to grow microbes, and the gelatin materials, jelly, the plant source is also from the algae. And in ice cream and jellies, they are also using this agar products. So the gel-like substances, they are formed by this agar products. So these are the plant sources of jelly, or else the gel is extracted from the animal bones. That is the animal source. Plant sources from the algae like Gelidium and Gracilaria. So you can extract these substances which are used for making jellies. And ice creams, non-crystallization of ice cream. Say you might have made a scoop and kept it in your freezer, but you find that they would have crystallized. If you want to avoid this crystallization, so you can utilize this non-crystallization can be brought about by the some of the materials, alginates from this uh, algae. So they are used as non-crystallizing materials in the ice cream. So remember about this algae. Some of the marine brown and red algae produce hydrocolloids, water holding substance. Example, algin, brown algae, and carrageen, red algae. So these are used commercially. So to retain water, water retention can be done by this marine and brown and red algae which produce hydrocolloids. So they have water holding capacity. Example, algin is obtained from brown algae and carrageen is obtained from red algae. These are used commercially. So remember about that. So the single cell organisms which are a rich source of protein as chlorella and spirulina are used as biosupplements, food supplements by space travelers. See, space travelers, they should get a nutritious food. They can't carry large amount of food. They require nutrients in order to reduce the payload of these rockets. So food is not carried in excess. They also carry the food supplements like spirulina and chlorella, which are rich source of nutrients. So they take this chlorella and spirulina are used as food supplements because they are highly rich in protein. So protein rich unicellular algae, single cell protein. That is protein rich unicellular algae like chlorella and spirulina are used as food supplements by space travelers. Okay. So the classification of algae, three types of classification are there: chlorophyce or green algae, phaeophyce or brown algae, rhodophyce or red algae. So these are the classification of algae. So chlorophyce, which is the green algae, phaeophyce is brown algae, rhodophyce is the red algae. Okay, so remember about this. I think we'll stop still here and discuss in the next class about the detailed discussion on chlorophyce, phaeophyce, and rhodophyce. We'll do it in the next class. So as of now, so today we studied about the uh, plant kingdom, isn't it? So in that, so you have any doubts or clarification, students, you can just inquire from me and I'll be